Welcome to Gone Outdoors. Kyle Agre and Scott Brewer of Brewer Agre Outdoors, talking hunting, talking fishing, and talking anything you can do outdoors for the next hour. Right here on KWSN 1230 AM, 98.1 FM, and Kello News Talk 1320 AM, 107.9 FM, both out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and the mighty 790 KFGO Fargo, 104.7 FM. This morning's Gone Outdoors is brought to you by Ray's Sport and Marine, your local Lund Boats and Bennington Pontoon dealer in Moorhead. RaysMarineMoorhead.com. Adventure RV across from the Fairgrounds in West Fargo, your number one RV dealer in the FM area. AdventureRVSales.com. Are you fishing for a snack or gas in Lakes Country? Lakeland General Store is your one-stop shop in the Lakes area at the junction of Highways 59 and 34 in Dunvilla. Devil's Lake Tourism and Glacial Lake Snow Bear. Linex of Fargo, this is Linex Country, home of the adventurous. Onyx Fish Midwest, Eskimo Ice Fishing Gear, and Ion Electric Ice Augers and the Ion Alpha. So good to be here back in the Gone Outdoor studio again. Thank you all so much for joining us. I hope that you're staying warm this weekend. We're getting a little bit of cold coming in, getting a little bit of ice-making weather, Scott, and that's definitely a welcome sign, especially after last weekend. We did a lot of talking about ice fishing, and it's time to put that into practice.
Yes, it certainly is. Mother Nature has been kind of nice to us, I guess you could say, as far as cold weather. After a beautiful fall, which I absolutely loved. And then we immediately dropped right in the wintertime in the cold weather. The lakes froze up hard, and it's been good. So the cold continues, unfortunately, depending on where you're at in our listening area. You may be getting quite a bit of snow. You might not have hardly gotten any at all. So, but the snow will definitely change ice conditions a little bit. We've talked about the last 2 or 3 weeks. Just please be careful every time you go out, especially now, this time of year.
Yeah, I think it's easy when you have a scenario where the ice is clear, right? And you don't have that snow on top of it. And you can see it. It's easier to spud it with a spud bar. It's easier to tell just what you're working with. And you get a little bit of snow on top. Number one, it insulates that ice, so the cold isn't quite as effective at building ice. And then number two, it takes away that visual inspection aspect of things. And you really got to go by that trusting your spud bar and giving it a good, hard, solid hit and seeing what happens. I know it varies lake to lake so much, and even within the lakes, it varies in spot to spot. So we say it a lot. We're going to say it again today. Check your own ice. Make sure you check that ice, not just in that 20 feet off of shore, but also every few steps that you had out on the ice. Make sure you're checking it. Make sure it's safe. We want to see you again at an ice show, at a Shields Ice Fest event. We want to see you again out on the ice, enjoying what we have to offer up here in our part of the world during the winter months. And, we can only do that if we're taking care of ourselves, taking the necessary precautions, and being really, really safe.
And ice anglers are extremely excited about this winter, more excited than we've seen in quite a few years. We had good ice last year. We got a good start to the season this year. Anglers are excited. They want to get out. We know that because we've been working these shows for probably going on a month, a little over a month, much of November into early December. But those are done now. We've worked our last show last weekend in St. Paul, and I absolutely love that show, Kyle, because not only do you get to see so many anglers happy, smiles on their face, they're there having a good time, but you get to reconnect with a lot of these old friends of ours that we don't get to see very often, which I really, really enjoy.
Yeah, including our once-a-year guys from Michigan. They were there at the show again. They drive 12 hours. Imagine that, driving 12 hours to go to an ice show. That takes dedication. That takes passion to a whole new level. I always appreciate seeing these guys, and they're always telling stories, visiting. It's like kind of the old class reunion or the friend reunion when you get to see people like that again.
Do they ice fish in Michigan?
Oh, they ice fish every chance they get. They might not have as much opportunity as we do here, but
I think in the UP they do.
well, it is, and they have to travel a ways to get there. They have to travel a ways to get around to Wisconsin or Minnesota and North Dakota and Manitoba and all the other destinations. But these guys are dedicated. They do it. They've done it in the past, and that's part of what they do coming to the St. Paul Ice Show is really scope out some potential destinations, talk to a lot of the experts that are there at the show, and really just arm themselves with that kind of information.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that'll travel a long ways to be able to visit with a lot of these industry experts to maybe get a good deal on some product, but it's really about the camaraderie of just hanging out with people that have the same passion that you do. You know, Kyle, one of the other things I really enjoy about this show is a lot of our show sponsors are at this show.
A big chunk of them were there. Absolutely.
Yeah, we got Tony Aloya and the entire Eskimo crew were there. Eskimo is a huge supporter of our show. Eskimo and Ion. Joel Nelson with Onyx Fish was there. Holy cow, his booth was busy. He was running this little scratch off thing, or a pull tab, and he was handing out these pull tabs. Half the booths there had them. And if you won something, then you had to take it to his booth and you won a prize. Could have been a hoodie, could have been a year subscription to Onyx Fish. I believe they gave away a Eskimo auger. They gave away a fish house, all kinds of stuff.
Lots and lots of giveaways there. That was a whole lot of fun. And Adam Renis, Glacial Lake Snow Bear, he was there, had a unit on display, was talking to people about Snow Bear, and of course Susie Kenner up there in Devil's Lake tourism, and all of the neat things that they have going on up there in central North Dakota.
And the new products this season, it's always fun to see them. For those people that haven't seen them, you know, like the Eskimo Outbreak XDP, which we've seen that because they had that at the Shield shows. But something new that a lot of people hadn't seen yet is the Markham Ultra Live. It is their version of it's live sonar, some type of forward-facing sonar. And they have a prototype out. It's not available yet, but people got to see what that's going to look like as well.
It was a great show. And speaking of great shows, Scott, we got a great one lined up here, and we're pushing up against a break. Sheena Ziegler, she's the chairwoman of the Brainerd JC's Ice Fishing Extravaganza for 2026. She's going to give us a sneak peek as to what's going on and the planning phases of that event. Johnnie Candle, professional guide out of Devil's Lake. Speaking of Devil's Lake, he spends a majority of the year in Devil's Lake, but he takes a few months off in the wintertime, and I think he's got it figured out. He goes to Florida and does some Gulf Coast guiding down there. We're going to talk to him a little bit about that, and we'll hear lastly from Captain Ben Barrus. He's a Lake of the Woods guide. We know Lake of the Woods and all the walleye and sauger fishing that's up there. He actually takes some clients out and targets sturgeon under the ice. I can't wait to hear what that's all about, and he's going to tell us. Folks, don't go away. We got a great show lined up. We'll be back after this quick break with more Gone Outdoors.
Looking for somewhere to get all your fishing information in one place? Onyx Fish Midwest has something for you. Search for new fishing areas with filtering features such as species, abundance, trophy potential, lake survey info, regulations, and area insights are just a click away.
Getting to your target lake has never been easier with access points and public land ownership clearly marked on Onyx Fish. Mark and customize waypoints and weather for your exact location. Use code BA Outdoors to get 20% off Onyx Fish Midwest at onyxmaps.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Gone Outdoor Radio. You're listening on Kello News Talk or KWSN in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, or the Mighty 790 in Fargo-Moorhead. Scotty Brewer, Kyle Agre, Brewer Agre Outdoors. And on this segment, our second segment of today's show, we are going to chat with Sheena Ziegler. She is the chairwoman of the Brainerd JC's Extravaganza. If you know anything about the extravaganza, you know that they change the chairperson every year, and this year it's Sheena's turn. Sheena, welcome to Gone Outdoors.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, and we're excited to have you, especially with your history with the Brainerd JC Extravaganza, because although you are the chairwoman this year, it sounds like you've been heavily involved in this for many, many years.
Yeah, so I have been on the board for the Ice Fishing Extravaganza for probably going on 15 years.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Yeah. And we could just jump right into this part of it. It's all volunteer. You know, everything you guys do is 100% volunteer. So you got 15 years volunteering towards this event. And it's just got to make you tickled pink when you see how successful it is.
It does. It really does. So the JCs are a leadership development organization through civic engagement. And so a lot of times we have events, and every dollar that we earn, we give back into the community to 501c3s. And each year in the extravaganza, you grow and you take on a new leadership role, and we kind of have an ever-evolving committee of people. And I've gone from checking buckets to weighing fish to first aid. And for the last 5 years, I've led the marketing team, and I really enjoy it. And it's been a lot of fun. And my time finally came to be the person. And the fact of the matter is that the person is really just the face for the year. It's the team that does all the work. And it's very humbling to watch young leaders, because they kick you out at 40, and I don't have a lot long to go, but young leaders do great things for the community. It's incredible.
Well, thank you, Sheena, and thank all of the volunteers who helped to make this happen. And I don't want to go too much further without letting the three people in the world who have not heard of the extravaganza know exactly what it's all about, because it is a super exciting event. Can you just give us kind of the 10,000 foot view here? I know it's the world's largest charitable ice fishing organization, but how many years and what are the dates and some of the logistics?
So we are the world's largest charitable ice fishing tournament, which means with your 10,000 foot view comes 10,000 people on a sheet of ice on Gull Lake in Brainerd, Minnesota. And we run a 3-hour long ice fishing tournament out in the cold, no ice houses. We have tons of fun out on the ice. This year we are in our 36th year. We are doing great things. We have January 31st on the calendar, and we are very excited to be hosting alongside of our ginormous sponsors that support us year after year.
So Sheena, it's January 31st. It's a 3-hour tournament, which I believe starts at noon, goes from noon to 3.
Yep.
And the holes are already pre-drilled. You guys go out and drill like 20,000 holes the day before.
20,000 holes.
With some of those 300 volunteers that you guys get for this event. So when people get out there, obviously, they're not just going to show up at noon. I'm pretty sure they can get out there a little bit earlier, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, so our anglers can come out. We start running buses at 7 o'clock in the morning. What you do is you go to Brainerd International Raceway, or BIR, and you park your car, you jump on the bus, and you don't even have to worry about it. A lot of people worry about getting their gear on there, but they help you load up all your gear, and you take the bus to the lake. They drop you off. You walk to the contest area. We open the gates and bucket checking at 8 a.m., and you go in and you find your hole. We have all sorts of different activities going on in the morning. We have vendors. It is quite literally like a mini state fair on the ice. There's vendors, there's games, there's things to keep you busy. We have the Youth Olympics. We're a very family-friendly oriented event as well. And things to do until that noon gun goes off to start the contest.
I love it. And I want to make sure all of our listeners know how they can get tickets, where they get tickets, and how that process works.
So we can get tickets at Fleet Farm through the third week in January. $50 at Fleet Farm. We have Fleet Farms in Sioux Falls and in your guys' area there. So you can get them there. Or you can go to icefishing.org and order them online. And we're sending out our first bulk order this week. So that's icefishing.org. Order them up. When you get on there, you're going to have a couple of different options. We got some 4-packs and some single tickets. But there's also the catch of the day, which is like a contest in a contest, right? Where we give another $20,000 prize package away. And that is announced the week of the contest. So the biggest fish of that species, that catch of the day, gets another opportunity to win. So all those ticket options are available, and we do mail out tickets and will call tickets.
And we should probably add that you guys were gracious enough to throw out a discount for anyone that listens to our show. If you order online, if you use the code BA Outdoors, it doesn't have to be all caps or all small letters, just BA Outdoors. You'll get $5 off on your ticket for as many tickets as you buy. So, but there is a deadline, I believe, as far as the timing for that, right? For the online ticket sales.
Yep. Online ticket sales will end January 10th. You have 1 month.
If you want to go, if you're thinking about it, you can save $5 per ticket. Just go online. You can order them online. Use the code BA Outdoors. That is if you haven't already purchased your ticket, because I know there's a lot of people from our area that go. So, Shannon, we only got about a minute left. Let's talk about some of the prizes that people are going to win.
Oh, we've got some good ones. So obviously, year after year, our number one prize, our top prize is a Ford truck or a GMC truck. You get to pick from Mills Automotive. We have some 4-wheelers. We have cash, $1,000 cash prize. We have Grandview Extravaganza packages. Another one that we have is some Mr. Buddy heaters. We also have, oh Lord, there's so many Fleet Farm gift cards. Another one out there this year is Ugly Stick prize packs. Ugly Stick came in this year. They're releasing a new ice fishing rod. And if you're out there on the ice with us, make sure you stop by their booth because they are bringing some awesome giveaways with them. Strike Master is bringing their new Maven. Aquaview has got some Micro Revolutions out there.
I believe there's an ice castle in there as well.
Oh, there's lots of ice castles in there.
Yeah.
There is a ice castle, 2 ice castles to be frank, and then there's ice castles on our raffle prize list as well.
Yep.
So we have an ice castle that we're giving away on our raffle list. The ice castle on the prize list is a trophy hunter, which is a very nice one.
All right. So if people want to find out more information about the Brainerd JC's Extravaganza, the 36th annual, they can go to www.icefishing.org. They can order tickets there. They can get information. This is a bucket list item. If you've never been there, you definitely need to go. Thank you very much, Shana, for coming on Gone Outdoors.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
All right, stick around. We will be back with more Gone Outdoors after this short break.
Experience unrivaled power with the Ion Alpha Ice Auger. Choose from the Steel Bit Alpha or the Ultralight Alpha Plus.
Available in 1 or 2 battery configurations, the 8-inch model cuts an incredible 1,200 inches of ice on a single charge, blazing through at 3.4 inches per second. The 10-inch model drills 1,200 inches at 2.2 inches per second. It's called the Alpha for a reason.
Find yours at your local retailer or visit ioniceaugers.com. Welcome back to the second half of this morning's Gone Outdoors. Kyle Agre and Scott Brewer of Brewer Agre Outdoors, talking hunting, talking fishing, and talking anything you can do outdoors here on KWSN and Kello News Talk in Sioux Falls and the mighty 790 KFGO Fargo. We're excited to welcome back a good friend of ours, Mr. Johnnie Candle. And most of you know Johnny as a professional guide, as an educator, as someone who is very closely tied in to Devil's Lake, North Dakota. We're going to break that mold a little bit right now because during the winter months, as we sit here in the minus teens below zero, Johnny's got it figured out, living the life guiding in Florida. Johnny, welcome back to Gone Outdoors.
Hey guys, glad to be back.
I don't even want to ask what the temperature's like down there. I know it's warmer than it is up here in Minnesota and North Dakota, but it's great to hear your voice and it's great to have you on the show. Tell us a little bit about your decision to move part of your business down to the Gulf Coast. You did that, 3-4 years ago?
Yeah, about 4 years ago now, Kyle. People that know me and those of you that don't, when Johnnie Candle was tournament angler, fishing guide, walleye guru. And I knew that wasn't going to last forever. A couple years back, just about 4 years ago, I hung up my cleats, so to speak, from the tournament game. And I decided that I can't just sit around and guide summer months in North Dakota. I'm not one to let moss grow on the stone, so to speak, right? Had to do something. And ice fishing, as much as I know a lot of people up north, it just was never my cup of tea, ever. So I started investigating. What would it take to fish in the South? Well, I started looking at Arkansas and Missouri and Kentucky and Tennessee. Well, guess what? They still have winter. And if you're going to go on a fishing vacation from up north to the South, you're probably not going to stop in Missouri, Arkansas, Kentucky, or Tennessee. Further south. So I went further south through a series of trials and errors and visiting a lot of spots. I settled in the Florida Panhandle. The weather here is much more temperate than it is way up home. We still have winter. It was in the 30s this morning when I got out of bed, but it's the fishing here is absolutely incredible. So diverse. Inshore species, speckled trout, redfish, sheepshead, those kind of things. I can get to what they call near shore, which is snapper, grouper, amberjack, cobia, those kind of fish. And if the ocean is really, really nice and you want to go for a long ride, you can do that down here. We actually hooked a couple mahi-mahi earlier this fall when I got down here. So there are slight chances of catching some of those more warm water species in the ocean. But I can't think of anywhere that has the diversity I have here and the affordability. It's not a very expensive part of Florida to live in. So moving my operation down here for the winter just made a lot of sense.
Hey, Johnny, how long did it take for you to get a handle on the regulations? I mean, there are so many different species and seasons. Man, that had to take a while.
Well, I want to put a big shout out to the app called Fish Rules. And if you've never used it, I believe it works all over the country. It uses the GPS location on your phone to tell you all the rules, regulations, seasons, slot limits, size limits, keeping limits, bag limits, all that stuff based on where you're at. And I've got the fish that I catch quite often pretty dialed in, right? I know what the trout and redfish limits are. I know all the snapper and grouper limits right off the top of my head, but every now and again you catch something that you don't catch every day, and you have to go to the app and say, is this in season or not? Or does this have a slot limit or a minimum size or a maximum size? So, man, thank goodness for this Fish Rules app, Scotty, or I don't think I'd still have it dialed in right now. It is, it's confusing, and there's so many fish. I'm up to 38 species
Wow.
that we've caught because I keep a log book.
That's impressive. Really, really, truly impressive. And you speak, dialed in. I know, Johnny, that when it comes to Devil's Lake walleyes, you are dialed in. You've been dialed in on those things for years and years. How was the transition in fishing techniques going from a Midwestern Dakota lake down to the Gulf there in Florida?
It's pretty much the same, just the rods and reels get bigger. You use 40, 50, 60, 80-pound braid instead of 10 or 15-pound braid. Instead of using a 6 or 8-pound fluorocarbon leader, you're using a 30, 40, or 50-pound fluorocarbon leader. But quite honestly, I've got 4 rods rigged up to fish tomorrow with what you and I would call Lindy rigs. I've got a sliding egg sinker, a barrel swivel, and a 2.5-foot fluorocarbon leader to a plain hook that I'm going to put a piece of live bait on, and I'm going to drop it down to the bottom and wait for something to eat it. So the techniques are really not that different. Just the equipment is bigger, and you still look for the same stuff. You drive around, oh, look, there's a drop-off. Gee, are there fish around it? Oh, look, there's a couple fish arches there. Let's try to catch them. Granted, they're 7, 8, 10, 12-pound grouper instead of 2, 3, 4-pound walleye, but it's really not the same. Fishing is fishing. Fish are fish. You find them, you put something in front of them to eat, and they latch on pretty quickly. So it really wasn't as tough a transition as I thought it was going to be.
All right, Johnny, you piqued my interest with your what we would call Lindy rigging. What do they call it down there?
It's just a bottom fishing rig, right? They don't really drift much. They fish it vertical, usually on an anchor, or nowadays with the advent of the spot lock trolling motors. So instead of dragging that on the bottom, you're sitting still, holding it inches off the bottom. But again, it's the exact same rig. When I came down here to learn these things, and guys start showing me this rig and that rig and another rig, another setup they use down here they call a chicken rig. Well, all a chicken rig is a sinker tied at the bottom of your line with a hook a foot above it. Well, we call that a drop shot.
Yep.
Down here, they call it a chicken rig. Now, I've never drop shotted with an 8-ounce sinker, but I have fished a chicken rig with an 8-ounce sinker, right? I've never used an 8-aught hook on a drop shot rig up north. So it is a little bit different, but when you break it down to its most basic elements, their chicken rig and our drop shot rig is the exact same thing.
I have to imagine, Johnny, that a lot of the clients you have down there are quite possibly people you have made connections with here in North Dakota. Do you get many of the snowbirds that are coming down and looking for a day on the water?
Yeah, that's primarily what my business is, although that's starting to change a little bit. Very, very active on social media, as you guys know, and it's starting to pay off. I just guided 2 folks here that only live about 15 miles from my home. They've been watching my social media. They've never caught a hog fish before. They saw a lot of pictures on my page. They wanted to catch one. So we went out today. We caught a half a dozen. So people are starting to notice that I'm fishing harder in the winter months than most people down here do. And I'm having success that a lot of folks have never seen in the winter months down here. Again, they're not used to seeing the results that I'm having in the winter months.
I love it. Johnny, we've got a lot of folks listening to Gone Outdoors here in the Dakotas and Minnesota and all around the Gone Outdoors listening area who very well may be planning for a winter vacation. Let's get your number and your contact information out, because if they're looking to get out on the water down there, someplace warm, someplace that's not frozen, you are the guy for the job. How can they get a hold of you? JohnnieCandle.com is the best way. All my contact information is on my website. And if you even want to follow me on social media, you can go to JohnnieCandle.com and click on the link there that will take you right to my Facebook page as well. So you can see what I'm catching, see what we're doing. If you'd like to get down here, the days are booking up fairly well, so I wouldn't drag your feet too long. But man, it's a great escape from the cold. The fish bite
bite pretty well. They pull really hard, and I'm going to tell you, Scotty and Kyle, they eat better than anything you've ever eaten from a freshwater fishery before. These fish just taste phenomenal.
I love it. Johnny, thanks for spending some time with us this morning. All the best for your winter season until you come back up here to North Dakota. Merry Christmas, and you take care.
Yeah, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I can't wait till you two guys come down here and fish with me.
It's on our list, man. It is on our list. Folks, we are up against the clock. Thanks for spending this segment with us, but it is not over. We got another segment coming up. We'll take a quick break and be back with more Gone Outdoors.
The all-new Eskimo Outbreak XDP shelter gives you the same great fishable space as the original Outbreak, but packs down up to a foot shorter for easier transport.
Available in multiple sizes, the XDP features dual heat ports, giant windows, and an oversized carry bag. Whether you're camping for the weekend or fishing for the afternoon, the Outbreak XDP has everything you need for an enjoyable time on the ice.
Check out the all-new Outbreak XDP at geteskimo.com.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Gone Outdoor Radio. Thank you very much for sticking with us on today's show on our fourth and final segment here on KELO, KWSN, and KFGO. We're going to chat with Captain Ben Barrus. Ben is a guide on Lake of the Woods. He's out there every day. But Ben has started something really, really cool that we heard about it last weekend when we were in St. Paul. And we figured we got to get him on the radio. How you doing, Ben? Welcome to Gone Outdoors.
Hey, I'm doing all right. Thanks for having me on.
So Lake of the Woods is known as the walleye capital of the world. It's known for saugers. In some circles, it's known for perch. It's known for world-class sturgeon fishing. But one thing it is not known for is ice fishing for lake sturgeon. And that's something that you're trying to change, isn't it?
Yes, it's not quite known for it yet. I think eventually one day it will be there, seeing as how much it's growing in popularity. So I think it's on the rise. That's for sure. It's gaining a lot of interest.
So obviously the season must be just a catch and release season. It's open during the winter time, because I know during the summertime there's a few different seasons, and so obviously it's open right now.
Yes, it is catch and release only right now. And then you're right. There's 2 seasons where you can catch and keep in the summer and the open water period.
How long does the catch and release season go?
It goes through the spring. It ends. I'd have to look at the calendar, but I mean, don't quote me on it, but it's sometime around the second weekend in April. Then you can start keeping them.
Okay, Ben, so a lot of fish activity in the wintertime tends to slow down, depending on if they're warm weather species, cold weather species. You know, we know that whole game. What are sturgeon? I mean, are they active in the wintertime, or are you just trying to target them while they're just laying there dormant? What's their activity level?
That's a really good question. Sturgeon kind of play by their own rules, from what I can tell. They definitely slow down on their feeding. They don't eat nearly as much. I think there was a study done, I think on the St. Croix, that showed it was like very low percentages of fish had anything in their stomach during the winter months. But it's some days just watch them on the modern day technology for sonar. You see them they're swimming. I mean, it doesn't even make sense the way they swim a lot of days. They're on the bottom, they're a foot under the ice, they're everywhere in between. And then other days, you'd think they're just sitting there like a log on the bottom, not moving. So it's some days they're kind of up and about, and other days they're not so much. But overall, I would say most of the fish are not actively feeding. So you kind of got to trick them a little bit there.
Well, that is piquing my interest and curiosity, Ben. Techniques. Are you fishing a set line? Are you jigging? Are you moving up and down the water column? What's the approach to target a fish of this caliber?
Well, your best bet, they are a bottom feeding fish, just with the location of their mouth. So most of your baits are going to be on the bottom or, within a few inches of the bottom. But you can generally just kind of let your bait soak. I always let one soak, and I always have another bait that I can kind of, maybe puff the bottom or pound the bottom or kind of bring up and down a little bit. They actually have it. They seem to have pretty good vision, and they react pretty well to glow paint, like glow colors. So that's one thing. You kind of got to stack all the odds in your favor as far as your setup goes. So, I like to paint my hooks and my weights with a glow paint, so they kind of are drawn to it a little more. Maybe put a little glass rattle on the swivel or around the weight and kind of puff that on the bottom to make a little noise. I've seen numerous times where you do something like that on a fish that's leaving your set, and it'll kind of turn them around and keep them in the area a little bit. It might not make them eat, but keeps them around a little longer.
This is Captain Ben Barrus, Lake of the Woods guide. Ben, a lot of people are right now thinking, if I'm going to catch a sturgeon through the ice, I'm going to have to get a great big post hole digger out there. What do you use to get these things through the ice? I mean, you're obviously not going to do it with an 8-inch auger.
Yeah, that's, there's still, I've tried a lot of different things, and it's tough up here because we get so much ice. Cutting triples or quadruples, and what I mean by that is 3 holes touching, like think of like a Mickey Mouse shape, or 4 holes to make a square. It's tough when you get a lot of ice. It's just tough to work with. Drilling straight with 4 holes all touching is tough. And I found using a saw, like one of those big saws that guys use for spearing pike, that can kind of help. But when you get a lot of ice, it's really tough. But cutting numerous holes together, or cutting like a big trough with a saw, is probably your best way that I've found, at least, to go about doing it.
Well, it sounds to me like that's a great reason to hire a guide, because the guide's got to take care of it and not the angler.
Yes, exactly. So that's kind of the attractiveness of hiring a guide is, it's when you figure out how many inches of ice or how many feet of ice I've drilled through for one of my sturgeon sets. It's 6 triples or 6 quadruples for holes in a house, and that adds up to be a lot of ice. That's a lot of time behind the auger just to get one house set. That's a lot of slush too. That's the other thing, that a lot of behind the scenes kind of tough work that you don't really have with other species, that you got to deal with for the sturgeon stuff.
All right, Ben. So we're talking about catching lake sturgeon under the ice in the winter. Chatting with Captain Ben Barrus. Ben, if people want to get a hold of you, if they would like to maybe think about this or talk to you more about it, how can they reach out to you?
Well, I am on social media. You can find me there on Facebook. I'm pretty responsive to messages on that. I'm also on Instagram, but on Facebook, it's just Ben Barrus, just my first and last name. And on Instagram, it's Ben_Jam&Barrus. So you can follow me or shoot me a message if you want, and we can discuss details about a trip.
Yeah, this sure sounds like a lot of fun. We appreciate you coming on Gone Outdoors.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It was good talking to you.
Special thanks to our Gone Outdoors show sponsors: Race Sport Marine, Adventure RV, Lakeland General Store, Devil's Lake Tourism, Linex of Fargo, Onyx Fish Midwest, the Ion Alpha, and Glacial Lake Snow Bear. Thank you for tuning in to today's Gone Outdoors. Follow along when you're on the ice or in the field with Gone Outdoor Podcasts at KFGO.com, KWSN.com, KELO.com, Apple Podcasts, or on Spotify. Visit us at breweragreoutdoors.com and follow us on social media. Until next week, from Scotty and Kyle, we will be Gone Outdoors.